with coverage you can count on. Welcome to Erie News Now at 11.
Good evening, I'm Mike Ruzzi. Thanks for joining us for Erie News Now at 11. We begin tonight with weather coverage. You can count on John Stalen. It is weather aware, so what does that mean for everybody?
It means grab that hairspray tomorrow, maybe the baseball caps too. It is windy out there. You may have felt it through prime time tonight. The wind gust up to about 36 miles an hour now and could possibly get to 50. So yes, a weather aware day starts basically at midnight, and we are looking at wind advisories for the Lake Shore and parts of Chautauqua County. But a lot of other places might see a little bit of the strong wind too. Starts at midnight, runs through 10 a.m., but definitely strong right now. We had up to 36 miles an hour, dying down this hour to about 20, but they'll be picking back on up as we head on into the overnight. So that wind advisory again for the area shaded there in tan, but places like Summit, Bell Valley, maybe even Green Township, you're still going to feel some gusty winds. So you don't necessarily have to be in that advisory area. Doppler Max 5D storm spotter radar, you can see here, this is the local version here, and you can see that rain is starting to move on into the area. Not necessarily hitting the ground, but we are going to track some rain showers for you for tomorrow. At least Kelly Rowland will. AHN St. Vincent Camp, 50 degrees, winds from the southeast at 8 miles an hour. That's the sustained wind, not the gust that we're seeing. Temperatures already into the 30s. Should not be as cold as last night where we saw temperatures into the 20s, believe it or not. And temperatures today got up to about 51 degrees. Tomorrow temperatures near 50 again with rain showers throughout the day and strong gusty winds too. We'll track that for you coming up with First Winter Weather Futurecast in a few.
All right, John, we turn now to an update in the Senate race here in the Commonwealth between incumbent Bob Casey and challenger Dave McCormick. Our Philip Ward joins us now. And Philip, where do we stand tonight?
Good evening, Mike. Well, just tonight, Pennsylvania Secretary of the Commonwealth Al Schmidt announced that the unofficial results show Senator Bob Casey and Dave McCormick have vote totals within the 0.5% margin, meaning that under state law, we're heading for a recount. Now, the AP has already declared Dave McCormick as the winner, but Senator Casey's campaign believes that call was premature. The Pennsylvania Senate race is heading to a recount, according to unofficial results from Pennsylvania Secretary of the Commonwealth, Al Schmidt. The announcement comes after challenger Dave McCormick has already declared victory and gone through Senate orientation in Washington. Adam Bonin, counsel to Bob Casey for Senate, says the Casey campaign still believes there's a path to victory.
You had thousands, millions of voters across the Commonwealth show up on Election Day. Thousands of them had to vote provisional ballots. Those who had a legal right to vote, their ballots should be counted. That's all we want.
But the McCormick campaign tells Erie News Now, quote, Senator-elect McCormick's lead is insurmountable, which the AP made clear in calling the race. A recount will be a waste of time and taxpayer money, but it's Senator Casey's prerogative. Senator-elect McCormick knows what it's like to lose an election and is sure Senator Casey will eventually reach the right conclusion. Bonin says actions being taken, though, by the McCormick campaign don't reflect those of one that feel they've already won the race.
They are going to the state Supreme Court. They are going to county boards of elections. They are going to trial courts in Philadelphia and elsewhere to try to make it so that fewer votes are counted. They don't want to be broadcasting that because the things that they are doing are not things that a confident campaign does. They are trying to make sure that fewer votes are being counted.
And Mike, according to the Pennsylvania Department of State, this recount is estimated to cost more than $1 million in taxpayer funds. And it must begin by November 20th and finish by noon on November 26th, with counties having to report the results to the Secretary of the Commonwealth by November 27th at noon. Results will not be published until that day. And as this recount goes on, or we have any update at all to the race, we'll be sure to bring it to you here on Erie News Now. Live in the studio, Philip Ward, Erie News Now.
All right, Phil, President-elect Donald Trump returning to Washington today. He met with congressional Republicans and President Joe Biden later at the White House. And our Washington, D.C. correspondent Rachel Knapp reports some of these meetings are traditional before a new administration takes over.
It's nice to win. President-elect Donald Trump received a standing ovation by House Republicans on Wednesday and made a joke about a possible third term, saying, "I suspect I won't be running again unless you say, he's so good, we've got to figure something else out." Currently, the Constitution limits presidents to just 2 terms. He also spoke about the success in the recent elections.
We won it every way, all 7 swing states by a lot. And then Michigan was great, couldn't be better.
Later that day,
Congratulations. Thank you.
Trump made his way back into the Oval Office. It was a closed-door meeting between the pair and their chief of staffs. The meeting comes at a time when Trump is announcing his picks for cabinet secretaries in his administration. This is a decades-long tradition for the current president to host the president-elect, but a similar meeting like this one did not happen in 2020 when Trump was in office and lost the election to Biden.
Looking forward to having like we said, a smooth transition. Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need. And we're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. So
Good.
welcome
Thank you
back.
very much. And thank you very much. And politics is tough, and it's in many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much. A transition that's so smooth, it'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that, Jim.
Trump's office said the visit was a triumphant return to the nation's capital, as he's set to take over the White House in just a couple of weeks. In Washington, D.C., Rachel Knapp, Erie News Now.
And the U.S. household debt moved to a record total of $17.94 trillion as of September, according to the Federal Reserve's bank. Our Mackenzie Robson spoke to local financial advisors and a real estate agent to gain insight on the impact. So, Mackenzie, what did you learn tonight?
Good evening, Mike. We learned that rising of household debt extends to credit card debt as well. Experts told me the reason is due to an increase of online spending, cost of used and new cars, and high inflation, as well as lack of education.
Americans are taking on debt at record levels. Local realtor of 29 years, Dee Caruana, shares she's never seen numbers like this before.
Debt to income ratios that I am seeing with some of the buyers is just crazy. Thinking, it'll go back to normal, but I don't see it happening. And we're credit rich and pocket poor people these days. And it's just the new norm.
Financial advisor Joseph Knox with Evident Financials gives insight on these numbers.
We've seen a significant increase in people taking on personal and household debt. Cost of living has been rising over the past few years. I think debt is at record levels due to a mix of different factors: inflation, rising interest rates, and in some cases stagnant wages as well. They really haven't kept up with the cost of living.
Local Drew Dimel with HBKS Wealth Advisors shares his perspective on the current levels of debt among the average American.
It's simple. It comes down to budgeting. And so if you can budget the right way, you'll be able to pay down that debt. The issue is if you get into debt quick, how do you get out of debt? Yeah, so there's always going to be debt. It's just if people are knowledgeable on how to pay it off.
And according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, despite the high inflation and rising interest rates, there is hope, as a stronger job market is boosting wages, with pay growing faster than inflation as of the past 18 months. Mackenzie Robson, Erie News Now.
Kenzie, thanks. Presque Isle Downs and Casino continues to support local veterans with a $39,000 donation to the organization Warriors to Washington. The donation will directly support the nonprofit's annual event where local veterans and their families are taken to the U.S. Capitol free of charge.
We're a fairly small group. We have a big mission, taking people to Washington, D.C. to show them the sights. We take our post 9/11 veterans, our Vietnam era veterans, Cold War era veterans as well. And to have a donation like this, it allows us to operate for the next couple of years.
All funds were raised through the Give $5 and Take $10 reward program.
There's a lot of credibility to our organization. Earlier on, we really had to establish some capital with other groups to kind of illustrate we are a viable 501c3 helping veterans.
Founded in 2013, the nonprofit has taken 10 groups of veterans to visit Washington, D.C. And the annual trip is held every September following the anniversary of 9/11.
Emotionally overblown when the first time I went on the trip. Believe me, it is something that is totally emotional. And then welcoming them back home to Erie is something that a lot of veterans didn't get.
And for more information about Warriors to Washington, and if you are a veteran from Erie and interested in making the trip, just visit www.warriorstowashington.org. Tonight, the community gathered to celebrate contributions on National Philanthropic Day at Gantt University. The Northwestern Pennsylvania Chapter Association of Fundraising Professionals hosted the event to recognize individuals and organizations that have made contributions to the community throughout the year. Some of the honorees include B&L Wholesale Supply, Max Pro Technologies, Elena Adams, Ella Patterson, Abby Lechner, Ted Wood, Carol Jacobson, and the Catholic Foundation of Northwest Pennsylvania. And our Tracy Tudup served as the MC for the event. And still to come on Erie News Now at 11, an activity at a local school to educate students on health. That's up next after John Stalin's full forecast. We'll be right back on Erie News Now at 11.
Now, first warning weather with John Stalin.
Right, we are now a year, 10 years away from what happened to us on November the 13th, 2014. A lot of you probably just getting home from work. It was a rough ride for a lot of folks out there as we saw a very big, significant snowfall. It was the biggest significant snowfall recorded here into Erie, meaning that it came into November instead of like December and January. It was one of those early ones, and it packed a punch, so much so that a lot of folks were stranded. It took them a long time to get home from work. 12.5 inches, 12.6 to be exact, inches fell at the airport. It was the earliest significant snow, and it fell between noon and 2 p.m. A lot of you may remember that. I've been getting a lot of pictures. You've all saved those pictures, it looks like. A lot of folks tell me it took them hours to get home from work. And about 8 inches fell within that hour into Erie and Mill Creek. So all in all, Do we celebrate that? Well, if we are, we're going to celebrate it with some gusty winds across the area for the overnight. No doubt your house has been shaking, the windows have been rattling, and the dogs have probably been barking too. So on the overnight, 30, 40 mile an hour winds, but we do have the potential of 50 mile an hour wind gusts tonight. That's why we have that advisory in place, basically 90 towards the lakeshore and basically the lakeshore of Chautauqua County. But again, you can still see some pretty potent winds inland too. Those winds should subside as we head through the day, but still hanging on as we head on into the afternoon drive for tomorrow. But then as we head into Friday, things looking better for us. And yeah, they'll help forward an improving weekend. Doppler Max going to be busy now, starting to pick up some returns here as we're seeing some light shower possibilities moving on in. But I do expect the bulk of that rain to happen as we head on into tomorrow morning. And you can see here out in Paynesville, we get a little bit of a return of maybe some light, maybe a drop or two, but you're probably not feeling it because the winds could be blowing that rain into our area, not necessarily the rain itself. All right, so really not that steady rain until tomorrow morning or so. We're looking good for that morning commute, but again, there could be a light rain or two. Remember, some of that rain, if it's strong winds, it could blow it into our area. You can see here by noon, we'll see some moderate to heavy showers. Can't rule out maybe some wet snowflakes happening tomorrow afternoon into the higher elevations. There will be no accumulation from this snow, but nonetheless, still could see a little bit of that. So be prepared. That rain sticks along with us throughout the overnight on Friday into your Friday morning before we start seeing some clearing out there across the area. So tonight, windy. Temperatures not as cold, upper 30s, low 40s. We're 50 degrees for tomorrow with those showers and windy conditions. A leftover shower for Friday, then some clearing late in the day. Santa Claus comes to town on Saturday at the Mill Creek Mall. Temperatures into the 50s, and then we're into the 50s, and then we take a dive, and look at that. Got rain-snow mix for Erie on the forecast next weekend.
John, thanks. Today, a lesson for high school students on the effects of drugs and alcohol taking place at Seneca High School. The health class students used fatal vision goggles while driving in a golf course and counting how many orange traffic cones they hit. These goggles simulate the effects of having 1.2 blood alcohol level, which equates to roughly a couple of drinks in 1 hour. In addition to the drive, the school's resource officer conducting a field sobriety test on the drivers, including the walk and turn. This activity comes after an introduction to the effects of drugs and alcohol have had on health during Red Ribbon Week at the end of October.
In the future, if they ever have to decide whether they're going to get behind the wheel of a car or vehicle under the influence, they'll think back to this day, realize, make the right decision to save their life or somebody else's life.
But I ended up I still was swerving, and just seeing how hard it was with just goggles and not actually drinking, it's definitely not safe.
And some 50 students taking part in the driving course and field sobriety test. The Erie Bluecoats are continuing to push their mission of ending violence in Erie's local schools, pleading with community members to help them out today. And our Caleb Yager has our story.
Good morning. Good morning. It's been nearly 20 years in operation for the Erie Bluecoats. Whether it's building relationships with students at Erie's public schools, holding signs at community events, or like today, hosting an important luncheon to inform people about their nonviolence initiative.
We need help. The community needs more of us.
Donald Heidelberg, along with other Bluecoat speakers, told me that today was a plea. They admit that finances are tight right now and are asking for extra community support.
They're not there as police, they're there as friends and mentors.
Cesar De Leon is one of the Bluecoats who shared how much this organization has impacted his life.
Every day is a new learning experience, so you see these kids grow and see them graduate and all that, the thrill of it.
The Erie Bluecoats tell me they've seen a decrease in school violence overall this year, and one of the key speakers at the luncheon was a young man who has personally experienced gun violence. This is Raekwon. When he was 16 years old, he was the victim of gun violence, nearly losing his life.
The future is everything for him. You can see it in his smile. He's just a great, great young man.
Now at 18 years old, through many surgeries, he is now the youngest member of the Erie Bluecoats.
When you see somebody like Raekwon, that's payday. that's payday for us. It's not that anything financially motivated. It's here that satisfies. I'm rich in here.
Caleb Yager, Erie News Now.
And if you would like to make a donation or just help out in any way, here's what you can do. The Bluecoats say to email this address, bluecoats814@gmail.com. They also ask to address the email to Miss Linda Hancock in the subject line. Turning to sports, our Logan Lepiscopo in tonight for John Leidick. And Logan, a night full of basketball from all around the colleges in the region.
It's about that season for basketball, Mike. We got Gannon, we got Mercyhurst, we got Edinboro. Highlights from all those games tonight, plus our 10-2 Credit Union Athlete of the Week and the Steelers report from John Leidick about the big Sunday matchup for the Steelers versus the Baltimore Ravens. All that coming up in just a moment.
Now, sports coverage you can count on.
Well, after a dramatic win in Washington, the Steelers are preparing for their first divisional game of the year. The Pittsburgh Steelers will face the Ravens' dynamic offense minus one of their leading rushers. But as John Leidick reports, there is some good news looming on the injury front to help combat Baltimore.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are set to face the top offense in the NFL when they battle the Baltimore Ravens for supremacy in the AFC North. However, as they try to prepare for life without Alex Highsmith for at least this week, they could be getting a boost with another key linebacker possibly making a return to the lineup.
We're just taking it day by day, seeing how I feel, and hopefully, I get the call.
Nick Herbig has missed the last 4 games after suffering a hamstring injury against the Cowboys.
I think that's the first time in my career I really missed some real time. That takes a toll on you, not just physically, but mentally, and just fighting every day, waking up, getting after it, attacking it with a positive attitude.
But facing the top rusher through 10 weeks in Derrick Henry and the current favorite and defending MVP in Lamar Jackson, he hopes to be a part of a plan to slow down the Ravens' dynamic options.
On paper, they got the best offense in the league right now. They got stellar players over there, so we just got to try and bring our A game and stifle that.
And now in just his second week in the black and gold, Preston Smith knows he could see a larger role with the loss of Alex Highsmith, and he feels ready, if called upon, to try and slow down that top rushing attack.
Man, there's a lot of talent on both sides. I expect this game to be, a battle. I don't expect it to be easy. I expect us to go out there and on both sides and fight and give it our all and see who's standing at the end of it.
2 7-win teams jockeying for the top spot in the AFC North heading down the stretch. It's the Steelers and Ravens Sunday at 1 o'clock from Mercyhurst Stadium. Reporting with the Steelers on the south side, John Leidick, Erie Sports Now.
Time for Athlete of the Week, brought to you by 10-2 Credit Union. Olivia Dixon of the Cathedral Prep Ramblers girls soccer team. In the 77th minute, she hit this long-distance shot against North Catholic to secure a 2-1 win and advance to the semifinals matchup versus Quaker Valley. In the 55th minute, Dixon scored a game-winning header off of a corner kick to send the Ramblers to play Northwestern Lehigh Saturday night.
Yeah, we just knew we needed to execute. We've scored a lot off of corners this year, so we just needed to first win the corner. Jordan did a great job being able to win that corner for us, and then CC played a great ball, and we were able to execute and score off of that.
Congratulations to Olivia, our 10-2 Credit Union Athlete of the Week. Reporting Logan Lepiscopo, Erie News Now. Now we head to the ice. The Erie Otters out on the road facing the Sioux Greyhounds, down 1-0. The Otters get an opportunity in front. Gabriel Frasca to Alexi Daviot, bar down score to knot it up 1-1. Second period now, Otters back down 2-1, working on the power play. Carey Terrance across the ice. Dylan Edwards buries it into the back of the net, ties it up 2-2. And the Otters would gain a 3-2 lead on a goal by Matthew Schaefer, but end up falling to the Greyhounds 4-3 in an overtime loss. Now over to the basketball courts. The Mercyhurst Lakers taking on the Canisius Griffins from the MAAC. The Griffins gain it done on both ends of the court. Big block by Tana Copa, and on the other end, Paul McMillan gets it to go with the left hand finish. Those two combined for 37 of the Griffins' 52. Jeff Planudis drives inside, gives it out to Blunt, who had that layup blocked, redeems himself. 16 points on the night en route to a big win for the Lakers, 62-52.